We laugh. We cry. We learn. But really, what doesn't kill you makes you better at managing clients and everyone. I'm Morgan Friedman, and this is Client Horror Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Client Horror Stories. I'm excited and honored to have with me Giovanna Silvestre. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes. Well, Giovanna Silvestre. That's
Giovanna.
almost.
Okay. I was close. Giovanna. Well,
You're close.
Excited to have Giovanna Silvestre today with some exciting stories. Giovanna, let's jump into your first story. I have my non-alcoholic drink in hand, ready to go.
This happened years ago when I was working in Hollywood, which you could imagine there's always wild things going on there. And I was 25 years old and I just started my job as the assistant to a big time director on a big time movie at a big time studio. So this is like $200 million project, a lot of celebrities, yeah. So I came on as the second assistant to the director. And the first assistant was the one that I reported to.
Okay.
I didn't really understand that at the time, that he was really my boss, that the assistant was my boss, because I just thought the director, and I'm not going to use names, I'm not going to say what project, I'm going to keep it all discreet. I really thought, okay, well, the director, I'm going to do what the director wants, not this other assistant, And so I think I stepped on some toes with him because when I met the director, I went directly to him and shook his hand and said, I'm so happy to work with you. And I just wasn't scared. I'm that's just not my personality. I was just very friendly and talkative with everyone. So this assistant didn't like that so much. The first assistant.
Before you tell us about the assistant not liking that, let's unpack it because I think there are a few interesting insights that are packed in there that might be useful for our audience to think about. The first point you're implying is the importance of clarifying the hierarchical structure. And because in traditional jobs, okay, I get a job as the junior software developer where I have a boss I report to who's the director, then the VP, and there's this big hierarchical tree, and it's super clear. But there are lots of jobs, all of Hollywood, and also more and more as more of the world moves freelance, independent, where you just have different people telling you different things, and it can be really, really unclear. And especially with the name conventions that you mentioned, there's director, assistant director 1, assistant 2. Is that just two different ones, or is it one on top of two? I don't even know.
Yeah, honestly, it was confusing for me as well. I didn't understand that the assistant was my boss. Okay. I understood that we got tasks. Sometimes the director would even give me tasks, but he was the first assistant. So he was the main one getting the task. And then he would give some to me, but I didn't think that he was my boss. And technically I wasn't employed by him. I'm employed by this big studio. So it that part was already confusing.
Easy.
I know he was above me, but I didn't know he was gonna he was in control of me.
So this is a really good point to dive into for a moment, because there are all these situations, especially with freelancers, where it's unclear who's the boss, and people give you conflicting orders and so on. Yeah. And especially when you're young and less experienced and less confident, it's not clear how to deal with it. The strategy I follow, which works for me but might not work for anyone else, so personality beware, different people have different personalities, is I kind of forcing the question early on. Wait a minute, you told me this, but he told me this. Let me know the protocol to know who I follow it and like force people to address the protocols, because often the teams themselves have never really addressed those issues before, and everyone there's this battle for control that you're just put right in the in the middle of.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy like that. And it's funny because after this whole situation, I actually bought the book, The 48 Laws of Power. And I think the first or second,
yes,
the first
Robert Greene
chapter, it says,
never outshine the master.
Never outshine your master. And I was like, damn, I should have bought this book before I got that job.
But by the way, the next point I was going to make was Robert Greene's observation, never outshine the master. So I'm so happy. Great minds think alike. And it's also providential. It's like incredible that you read that book right afterwards to like really reinforce that message.
Yeah. And then even if it says in that chapter, if you cannot help but outshine your master, then you need to not have a master. And that's what I eventually ended up learning. But anyway.
And also, final comment, then we'll get back to the actual story. See why these episodes go on because we can unwind every little thing. The final thing I want to mention is a subtle point to Robert Greene's advice of never outshine the master is this. First, you have to know who the master is. And the whole complexity of this situation is you didn't realize that for you, the master wasn't the big director, but it was the assistant right above you. Yeah,
it's like know thy master and then do not outshine thy master. And I was like, I don't know who my master is, and I will outshine everyone. So
you're one of those people. You're one of those people that needs to outshine everyone. I know you're a type. Okay.
I'm like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Okay.
I love it. Okay. So you didn't realize that assistant one was the boss of assistant two. So what did assistant one start doing?
So it basically started out that, I was friendly with everyone. I was getting along with everyone on set, whether it was the producers, whether it was the actors, and I was just really friendly with everyone, getting along. And that annoyed him. He didn't like that. Then he started giving me, he would give me tasks that were really kind of lame. I started to notice that because he didn't like me, he didn't want me around that much. I think he was scared that I could take his job or whatever. And I wasn't trying to take his job. I was just trying to be me and do the best I could,
Right.
I was 25 years old, just like, whoa, this is so cool. And just wanting to be helpful. And so then I saw that he wanted to, he gave me tasks like, go get his car wash, go get the director's car wash. Oh, his birthday's coming up. So go help his wife plan his birthday. And I thought, okay, you're giving me all these kind of silly jobs. Well, I'm going to be amazing at all of them. And so, so the director's wife and I actually became, through planning his birthday, we became super close. We became really good friends. Like we would go biking and boozing on the beach together. And
but by the way, as a parenthetical, I don't know what's going to happen in the story, but I do want to observe that it seems like assistant number one's plan is backfiring.
Backfiring, major backfire, like major backfire. So I became so close with the director's wife that she would even in the middle of the day, she would call the first assistant and be like, I need Giovanna to come to the house and things need to be done. And he's like, okay, Giovanna, you need to go to the house. And then I'd go to their house and then she would be like, I just wanted you to meet our friend who's staying with us.
That's hysterical.
The friend that was staying, she's like, I need Giovanna. We have things to do, and then I get there and then she's like, I just wanted you to meet our friend. He wants to meet you too. And they had this friend visiting and he was visiting from the UK And he was like 4 years older than me. He was 29. And so we hung out. Then I started dating their friend, the 29-year-old. So I started dating him. And that weekend we went on a bike ride, and then so I get back to work on Monday, and the first assistant said, "Oh, I heard you met their friend and you went on a date with them." And I was like, "Oh, how would you hear that?" And he's like, "Doesn't matter. I heard that." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "Well, do you like him? Did you kiss him?"
Ooh, boundary crossed.
And I was so shocked, like that. I thought, wow, that's an inappropriate question. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Because this guy is a friend of theirs. He's not working on this project. So that made me feel really uncomfortable. Did you kiss him? I was like, back up, dude. And but I responded so innocently. I was like, yeah. And he was like, all angry. I was like, oh my God. And then I kind of realized, wow, this guy wants me to, I think he thought I was going to be the cute young girl that was going to kiss his ass and have a crush on him and maybe have a thing with him. Like I was going to be like, you know, oh, you're so amazing. You're the first assistant.
And by the way, I'll add what's also inappropriate about that question is it's not just are you dating, because are you dating implies kissing. If you're not kissing, you're not dating.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not are you dating? It's like using this specific physical imagery of you two together, and just even like even like having the imagery or talking openly about imagining people that you work with, you know, having sex, etc. with people is so far out of scope of any sort of professional context.
I know. And knowing what I know now, I would have gone to somebody and I would have said something, because I would have been like, this feels weird to me that and it got weirder. So
Well, this is a parenthetical lesson for everyone listening. Really important life lesson. You don't need to say everything you're thinking, and also even if you're wondering it and you're thinking it, if it's useful to sometimes think these things and not say it out loud.
Yeah, because it okay. Well, I'll go into that in a minute, but so another kind of crazy thing happened. So to make this guy
wait, hold on. Before that, I interrupted you. I interrupted you when you were about to say how you responded, and
I just responded so innocently because it shocked me that he asked me that, and the way he asked me, "Did you kiss him?" And I was like, "Yeah." You know, I was just like, "Yeah." Like, did I do something wrong? You know, because the way he asked the question was so strong, and yeah. And then he was like, kind of shook his head and walked away. And I was thinking, well, obviously the director and his wife don't have an issue with this. This guy that I kissed and went on a bike ride with, who's 29, 4 years older than me, does not work on this project. So why is this, one, your business? Number two, why is this even an issue? So I just kind of was like, okay. And I was always trying to get back into his good graces, like always trying to do a good job. So like with the birthday, for instance, I told, you know, the director's wife that my family I want to make the director a small tiramisu for his birthday, because my family is known for their tiramisu. Because I come from an Italian family, they had a restaurant. And then she goes, "Oh my God, Giovanna, that'd be so amazing. Make it the birthday cake. That'll be the birthday cake." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Shining the master.
I know, right? No, I know, crazy. I'm like, the birthday cake, I don't even have the equipment here because you need one of those like crazy whipping machines to whip the cream. And I'm like, I don't even have the freaking equipment here to be able to do a tiramisu for all those people. So I call my mom up and I'm like, Mom, we got a situation. You got to make a tiramisu. Yeah.
I can so see you at 25 calling up your mom.
Oh yeah, Mom, we got a situation. Birthday. We need a tiramisu birthday cake for a bunch of celebrities. And she's like, okay, honey. So she makes the birthday cake, and her and my dad, I actually write about this in my upcoming book. Her and my dad drive to Santa Barbara and we go to dinner, and then they give me the tiramisu. I put it in my car and drive to LA because I'm in Los Angeles. My parents are up north in Santa Barbara, they're in San Luis Obispo. So Santa Barbara was the meeting way. Yeah, midway point. So I got the tiramisu, and then the tiramisu was a huge hit at this party. Everybody was talking about it. People were coming up to me on set talking about it, about how amazing it was. I mean, I was the favorite. Like I was definitely really loved at this point by everybody. And then another cool thing happened. So I'm driving the director to a meeting on the golf cart, and then I drop him off at the meeting, and then I'm driving back to the office, and then the president of the studio waved me down, and he came in.
President of the whole studio,
yeah.
Not just the director. It's like it's getting higher up in the hierarchy.
The presidente, yeah. So he got in the golf cart, and he's actually Italian from New York. So we were talking about Italians and blah, blah. I told him my family owned this Italian restaurant 3 hours north. And he said, oh, I'm taking my family to a town close to there. Give me the name of your parents' restaurant. Maybe we'll go. So I gave the information to his assistant. He ended up going and having lunch with my parents at restaurant.
It's amazing.
Exact. I know. It was crazy. I thought, I mean, I'm like sitting there going, oh my God, something.
And you're like, Mom, please don't embarrass me.
Oh yeah. Right. Well, you know what I asked him what his favorite dish was so I could make sure that they had it if he went. And he said pasta fagioli, which is such no restaurants have that. It's a very old world. It's kind of like the poor man's dish. It's like beans and pasta. And Italians love it. So I called my mom and I was like, Mom, you have to make that. And she's like, oh, I'll make it. She's like, I'll just have it at the restaurant because even if he doesn't come, your dad will eat it. And my dad's cousins were visiting from Italy. So they're like, they'll eat it. It's fine. So she made pasta fagioli. And so we have pasta fagioli at my parents' restaurant. So And so I was just thinking, so I get back to the studio and the president comes up and talks to me and he's like, your family's amazing. I had the most amazing meal. He loved my dad. He's like, how is your dad doing? And wanted to talk about my dad. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Now I'm in good with the president. I'm in good with the director and his wife. Everybody on set loves me because they love my tiramisu. Except my mom's tiramisu. Except there's one person that really. So now this guy is getting really upset because he's like, oh my God, the president ate at her family's restaurant. She's dating the director's friend. Like he was just despising me. So after that, he took me. I remember he's like, we need to have a conversation. I was like, okay. And so he takes me into a room. We're alone. And he goes, I really don't appreciate you flirting with everyone. And I was like, flirting with everyone? And he's like, he goes, it's not professional and it's not a good representation of the director if you're flirting with everybody on set. And I said, I'm sorry you feel that way, but like, I'm not flirting. I said, I'm a bubbly personality. I said, I treat women the same way I treat men. I'm not there going, hey guys, look down my wow. You know, I was very like cover. I remember at the time I was wearing these like big flannel shirts were in at the time. They were like the checkered flannel and it like buttoned up here and it was big and covered me. And, you know, there was nothing, I wasn't trying to date anybody there. I wasn't having a relationship with anybody there. And so he accused me of flirting and being not professional. And I was devastated. I was shocked. I was mortified. I was embarrassed. I was, it was horrible because I was questioning myself. I'm like, am I flirting with everyone? I'm just a bubbly personality. I'm just nice to everyone. I mean, obviously the director's wife would not love me so much if she thought I was a little hoe bag on set. You know,
on this podcast, we're allowed to use words like hoe bag.
Okay, good.
It's just entered my vocabulary now. I'm going to start using that word.
And so, and he said some other things that, you know, it was a long time ago, but it was just made me very uncomfortable. So I left there going, like, feeling scared, and I kind of knew something was coming down the pipeline. Well, eventually, I don't know how long it was after that, maybe a couple of days, he told a bunch of lies about me and said I messed up on this and I wasn't doing this and I was coming late. I think he just made up like all of these lies. And he went and he talked to everybody and he said, I want to get rid of her. I want to fire her. And they were all kind of shocked and were like, why? She's wonderful. You know, everybody likes her. What's wrong with her? And he's like, no, she doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't do anything. And at that point he had stopped giving me tasks to do because he didn't want me to do anything, because he didn't want me to do anything good. He didn't want me to do something and then do it really well and outshine him, because all the stupid things he gave me to do, I was outshining him.
But I want to make a interesting footnote on that, which is this guy, as much of an asshole as he is, I will say it's one of my favorite methods of firing people. You just give them less and less to do, because firing people and is just the emotional side. The emotional side aside, has a lot of legal issues, like you have to pay out severance, sign papers, like risks of lawsuits and so on. But if you just give people less and less and less to do, most people eventually get the message and then quit. So it's actually a surprisingly effective method to go about getting rid of someone.
Maybe he was waiting for me to quit. And then he saw I wasn't going to do it. I was just going to sit there all day and not do anything, but I wasn't going to quit. And maybe that's what he was trying to do. Well, and then I came into work.
And actually, just another lesson for our viewers to point out is on him spreading lies about you. This is surprisingly common, and it sounds like this might have been your first experience in like the dirty politics of the workplace, where people don't like you. They see you as a threat, so they make up lies about you, as you saw. And I think to combat this is one of the reasons why a strategy I've developed over the years is I go all out obsessive on documentation. And a way I tell it to my teams is I always tell my teams, if it's not documented and shared, it didn't happen. Like, gives me a request, I'll like document it and share it in Basecamp, Google Drive, and this side, in a very public way. I did this documented in a public way where it makes everything take a little bit longer because you have to put in the energy constantly for that. But it's like literally makes lies impossible. He'll say, she did this, she didn't do this. No, there's these public messages that I sent to the right group, to the right chat, to the right point, the right document with every little thing. And it literally just eliminates this entire class of political risk.
You know, I think that is such a good point and such a good tip for people. And I wish I would have done
Wish.
that. I wish I do, because I had all the contacts. I could have said, listen, this is what this guy is. These are the questions he's asked me. This is what he did. I never got to give my side of it. I never got to tell, like, I knew it wasn't fair and the people there knew it wasn't fair what he did to me, but I didn't ever get to say, hey, listen, he took me into a room and asked me these questions, and he, made these accusations about me, and he lied about me, and I never got to do that. I was 25 years old. This is also before Me Too. It was very much still the world of you pay your dues, you shut up, you put your head down, and you pay your dues. And I had been in the industry for a few years, and I had actually female bosses that were nuts, but
nuts in different ways.
They were nuts, but they loved me, and they were very loyal. But it was just kind of like, okay, you put your head down and you just do the things and you don't complain. And so, but now, especially in today's world, people and employees, and even in the entertainment industry, have way more power. And so I wish I would have known that back then. I wish I would have documented these things. I also wish I would have known that's inappropriate for him to ask me, did I kiss him? I didn't know.
So note that with my strategy, and I'm a little bit insane about documentation and insisting on documentation. And by the way, I insist all my employees and team members use a platform, Basecamp, that makes it very easy to document. Like, you go to the bathroom, it's documented. But as in, you think I'm exaggerating, but as an interesting observation to dig in, one of the powerful things about having the default protocol of sharing and documenting everything is it means even if you don't know something is bad, it will get exposed. So, for example, even if you didn't know that it's inappropriate and bad for him to ask, did you kiss him? Imagine you just had the internal process to write up meeting notes after every single meeting and share them in the shared drive with everyone. You would write meeting notes, and like, as to say, Thursday, December 12th, in our meeting regarding my dating life, I clarified the kissing situation with my boyfriend. And even if you didn't know that was inappropriate and you thought that was okay to talk about, by documenting it and putting it on paper, okay, digital paper screen then, and for everyone to see, guess what? If the issue comes up again, you have it documented. But also, I always tell people, you don't want to document it, you want to document and share it in the shared Google folder, in the shared thing, so everyone else can see at the time. And they're the people who will tell you, I just saw the meeting notes. No way is he supposed to ask that. And then they could have taken it.
Absolutely. I 100% recommend for everyone to do that. That at least, even if because I got fired in the end, like I showed up one day and he was like, I need to talk to you. And he goes, we don't need you anymore. I'm letting you go, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it was nice knowing you. Pat on the back. Bye. Get your stuff. Goodbye. I was like, oh my gosh. I was just like shocked. And I really wish I had that documentation so I could say, okay. And then I could send an email to everyone and say, these are the things that this guy said to me. So I just want everyone to know. And he put me in quite a few uncomfortable situations. So I highly recommend that, because then at least I could have said my part, because it also felt bad. Like, if these people actually thought that I was incompetent and showing up late and not doing the things that he told me to, that also made me feel so angry and like bad when I showed up every day on time. I was there before anybody was on set. Some days I get there at 5 a.m. because we always had to be there before the director. Anyway.
I would observe since you're young, experienced, 25, it made sense that you're emotional and upset. With some years of experience, looking back on it, to me, it took me years for myself to realize everyone knows. Like, everyone knows everything. And by that, I mean, like, this guy, if he's doing this to you, guess what? You're not the first person he did this to you. Like, people who are assholes like that do that to everyone. So the other people working with him have seen him do the same thing to 6 people before. So when they see him say bullshit lies about you, then everyone else is probably realizing, yeah. Like, he's just putting on his power show by making things up again. So it doesn't necessarily reflect as badly on you as you would think.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for that. That is very true. And a couple things about this that are very interesting.
Please.
So after I got fired, I was devastated, and I was getting into my car and driving off the lot, and I get a call from the director's wife, and she's like, "Oh, honey, come over." And I was like, "I got fired." And she's like, I know, I heard. She's like, "But come over. I'm going to take you out drinking." And so I literally went to the director's house, and his wife took me out drinking and got me drunk. And she even wrote my parents like a really sweet message and said, "We love your daughter. She's so amazing." I mean, it was so nice. And then they let me stay at their mansion with my boyfriend, because I was dating their friend. They let me stay at their mansion in right outside of London with my boyfriend for 2 weeks. That was really cool. Bless you. That was really cool. Very cool. And then, so that was a perk. It's like, I don't have to work. I'm in a mansion outside of London. Okay. So then I think it was a couple years later or a year later. I think it was a year later. I was at a party, and it was all entertainment, people that worked in the entertainment industry. We would all go, to parties together and stuff. And so I went to this party, and I was talking about, oh yeah, I worked on this movie project. And then, and they're like, "Who'd you work with?" "I know a guy." So we were talking about the same guy. And I was like, "Yeah, that guy got me fired. He was such a jerk." And then I told them what the stuff he had said to me. And they're like, "Yeah, we don't like that guy either." And I said, "Yeah, he said some really weird things to me." And then they started laughing. And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, that time that you were working with him on that project and he was treating you like that, his wife was an assistant of a line producer on another project and was having an affair with someone on that project."
Ooh, interesting.
So his wife was cheating on him.
In a job like yours.
Yes, like she was working. So they're married. He's working.
Plot twist at the end of the story.
Oh my gosh, right? She's working on another movie project. She's sleeping. His wife's actually the one sleeping with someone at work. I'm over here not doing anything with anybody at work. And he's accusing me. It was like he was projecting all the things about his wife onto me. And maybe he also knew she was cheating. So maybe he wanted someone to cheat with, and he was thinking that I would be the one.
An interesting plot twist at the end of the movie. And
right.
So we can each take a moment to promote our own books, but I actually wrote a book, The Scorpion, the Frog, and Exercise in Empathy. And the point of the book, or one of the point books, the first level of Unwrapping the Onion, is about when people act like an asshole to you. You never really know what's happening in their lives. Like, you never really know the backstory. And this is such a good example, though, because like this whole episode, I'm like bad guy episode, like bad guy.
Yeah.
And even though he was acting totally inappropriate and he still did bad things, it's like knowing this just changes the interpretation. Okay, wow, he was going through a terrible moment, dude. If my wife was cheating on me in a particular sort of context, every time that context came up, I would be like flipping out at everyone. And as much as while he's still a total asshole, it's at least now he's like an understandable asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. It did totally provide context. And I also, it was nice because I go, oh, I get it. He was really insecure, not just work wise, but he was insecure as a man, relationship wise, with his wife. I mean, it wasn't his girlfriend, it was his wife.
Yeah. Higher stakes.
Yeah.
There's an old French saying that I like. I don't know any English parallel or equivalent, which is tout comprendre, tout pardon. Like, to understand everything is to forgive everything. And I think it's a very powerful saying. Like, when you really understand what's happening, it makes it much easier to forgive, look past, and the reason why we forgive, I think, isn't for the other person. He still acted like an asshole. It's like for ourselves, so we don't carry that burden, that weight on our shoulder for the rest of our lives, and we can move on ahead.
Exactly. It's so funny because, talking about it and thinking about myself at 25, which is young. When you're 25, you don't think you're young, but you are. You're kind of like, you're a very young adult. You just left college. It's just kind of, you're really just trying to figure things out. And then have worked so hard, get on a huge project, be so excited, be over the moon, doing your best. I mean, I had my parents driving to give me a tiramisu. And I was trying everything.
That's hysterical.
I know, to be amazing, to then have that experience. So as I was talking through it, I got angry again. And I was like, oh, I wish now I could see that guy and just slap him across the face. It made me angry for little me at 25 and him kind of harassing me a bit and a little bullying. It made me very angry and then sabotaging me. But again, you're so right. You have to have forgiveness. And actually, I'm very grateful for this experience. I mean, it was I'm so grateful for it. And it's really cool because I write about it in my book too. And I think you need to have these experiences in life that push you toward your own path. Because I was never supposed to be working for people anyway, but it was a good experience. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, I think one of the key points of what they used to call received wisdom, which is like the sage advice of our elders, which is being lost in most contexts today, perhaps except for religion, is that bad things that happen to you, like, actually happen for a reason, and it's actually good for you, but it's good for you for reasons that are just beyond your comprehension. This bad thing is happening to you, but there's no way for you to know. But because of that, 5 years in the future, it's going to lead to this other thing that is like really, really amazing, and you can't know that at the time.
Yeah, you do, like, exactly. And the lessons I learned, had that not happened, I wouldn't have gotten those lessons. Like, I got a lot of lessons there. Even in situations where I go, okay, don't. I know that I have a big kind of presence about me. So in some situations, it's not so, just beware and don't, I'm not saying dim yourself down, but let other people shine too. You don't need to outshine, you know what I mean? Like, let other people hold back just a little bit. That's a very good lesson as well. I'm not saying dim the light, don't shine as bright, but I'm just saying, like, let there be air in the room for everyone. You don't have to take up all the air.
Yes, and I think for people with, I love your euphemism, big personality. For people with big personalities, it's a hard lesson, but an important one, to not use up all the oxygen in the room.
Yeah, exactly. So
I recently read a statistic that I like in a book I was reading about management, which is it said that just read it literally 2 days ago. It quoted some academic study that showed that the most successful project managers compliment each member of their team, like each person they're managing, 9 times for every one time they criticize them. And that just stood out. We could do a whole episode just analyzing that. But one of the ways in which this stat stands out is relates to using up all the oxygen. You are using up all the light in the room. That as a manager, by letting the people under you not just shine, but shine 9 times for every one time where you're going to need to like punch them back in the line and into place, is powerful, effective, and for people who like shining themselves, letting each of the other ones shine 9 times as much for everything negative is friggin' hard to control yourself and to do yourself.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is hard, but I have like learned that lesson, and I really love it when other people are like shining around me. You know, they're being themselves. They're, you know, like I work with a lot of photographers, and there's this one young girl who does photo shoots with me, and she has a very timid personality, and I have like a very big personality. So, and she's younger than me. So being with me, she's like talking to more people. And she even said, because if I'm like, oh, I don't know where I'm going, I'll just be like, hey, excuse me, where is blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't even think about it. I just ask the question. I talk to people. And she said to me, oh my gosh, after hanging out with you, I know now that I can just ask people things. Like if I need something, I can. And I saw her like starting to come out of her shell and like shine around me. And I'm like, oh my God, you're shining. This is so exciting.
Yeah, that is exactly a spirit. And what I'll add to this to make it even more interesting is if you're the only one shining, then there's only so far you can grow. But if you want to do big, complex things, you like imagine building a company where you have hundreds of employees. You can't be the person managing everything. You need to let this group shine, that group shine, this individual. You need to like spread the light everywhere.
Exactly.
Well. And that's how you grow past just yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm definitely not about dimming anyone's light. I'm like, let us all shine bright like beautiful little stars in the sky. Diamonds.
I love it. And we're at about the 45-minute mark. So this is a great way to end the episode. Before we sign off, do you want to tell everyone for a minute about your book?
Oh, yes. So talking about shining, I wrote this book, Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos, because I want all of the confused girls out there in the world to shine bright like little diamonds. The main premise of the book is how to look at your confusion as a virtue. That's the main premise of the book. And how to use confusion to find your true nature and live the life that you were meant to live, like live your destiny. Yeah. This has been a passion of mine for like a decade, and finally it's being published with a big publisher, and it's all very exciting. And you can pre-order it now on my website, confusedgirlinthecity.com. And you can also follow me at Confused Girl LA on Instagram.
I'm not a confused girl. I think I'm neither confused nor a girl, but you never know these days. But your summary of it makes even me want to read it, because I like how you're approaching it, of saying turn the confusion from what people think as a problem into something good, and that feels very powerful. Even just thinking about it for a second, I'm like, look, how could it be a good thing? Oh, if you're confused, that means you haven't yet figured out what path to go down, which means all the paths are open to you.
Exactly. Literally, your confusion is an infinite realm of possibilities that you have yet
Ooh,
to cover. Yeah. And
I love it.
It's so funny because when we're confused, we shame ourselves and we're upset because we're like, oh, I don't know what's going on, or I don't know who I am, or I'm confused about this breakup. I'm confused about what university to go to. I'm confused about, what kind of mother I'm going to be, or whatever it is. I mean, it could be anything at any point in your life. And so I'm trying to teach people how to actually use your confusion to use the confusion to align with who you are and explore the infinite possibilities you have, and then choose the path that you are meant to be on, the path that your soul wants to be on.
Dude, I love it. I want to be a confused girl in the city now.
Thank you.
Okay, and this is a great way to end the episode. This was a very fun conversation, and thank you for your time, and everyone who's watched it to the very end. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we had. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Mwah. Bye.